Hello everyone, this is Fen with Warframe Unabridged. Today we are taking a look at the Lady of Chaos. We're going to take a look at 3 different builds, one that focuses on Psychic Bolts and one that focuses on Chaos. We will be taking a look as well at a slightly modified version of the Psychic Bolts one for a build that focuses more on pacifying bolts. Now, I guess we'll take a look at the first build. So this one that I got equipped is for Psychic Bolts. It's going to give us some efficiency, it's going to give us some power strength, and go ahead, chuckle, I get it. You know, Nyx is just... she has no real use for power strength, because everything that she can do requires mostly range, mostly efficiency, you know, or duration. But power strength is kind of her dump stat, if you get my meaning. So, I guess without further ado, let's take a look at what this is capable of. This puts her Psychic Bolts at 200%. It deals 400 damage. That is 400... it's such a paltry sum of damage. Okay, so if you double her power strength, she is doing 100 less than an unaugmented shuriken. It'll be done to more people, sure, but it's still... it's just not going to... it's not optimal in any way. So we're going up against some level 35s. It's the most common level enemy you're going to run up against once you're pretty much caught up with everything. Because, well, it's the most common high-level content you're going to run up against. You know, like 35 to 40. Notice those people, even though irradiated, kept running straight towards me. What good is that? You know, they're just throwing out the window the fact that they should be killing one another. Don't they understand that they're supposed to kill one another? And look at that. There's how many enemies over there? And it can go around walls, but all of those bolts struck the same enemy. It's just such a sad power. I can't even. Okay? The damage sucks. Occasionally it'll radiate an enemy, but it's not going to do so in a way that's spectacular enough to really make a difference in the fight. Because ultimately you're only affecting 6 people. So what's the point? You're not dealing enough damage to really get anywhere. A standard radiation proc isn't going to help you that much unless you have a ton of people irradiated, and 6 just doesn't cut it. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at the build for pacifying bolts. We still have a little bit of power strength. We've got some range as well. You know what, I'm going to go ahead and ditch that, and I think I'll just put in some kind of a defensive mod. Let's see, we'll go with redirection. So, same enemies, got a little bit of survivability, and bam, we have all these people doubling over, irradiated. But that doesn't really matter all that much, given the fact that nothing's happening now. So, if you have a successful build, and Jesus, this is an expensive build, I'm already out of energy, so I don't know how you can really keep up with the crowd control. But, I mean, just look at this. Look at how unreliable it is, how fast I'm out of energy, because you just gotta spam in order to even maintain the crowd control. So, it's just so unsuccessful. And if they're staggered the whole time, they're not killing one another, so I just don't get the point. So, let's upgrade again. Pacifying Bolts basically takes Psychic Bolts and just moves it one step towards being Chaos. Just not in the right way. You know, even if Chaos didn't have the stagger, even if it was just the radiation proc, and it could be done to a lot more people, it would be worth it. But take a look at how much you're paying. You're paying 38 for Psychic Bolts, 56 for Chaos, and that's with some efficiency in there, okay? But why? Why do you gotta pay that much when... okay, so it's 50 on Psychic Bolts without any efficiency. It's 75. That's a difference of 25 energy, okay? That is exactly 1 orb difference between casting Psychic Bolts and getting 1 to 6 people to be, you know, irradiated, versus everybody in a massive radius with Chaos, and it's guaranteed, okay? No two ways about it. So let's go ahead and switch to an actual optimal build with her. And Psychic Bolts is never going to be a part of one of those. So here we have maximum range. You got Cunning Drift, Overextended, and Stretch. And the reason why we're not worried about the power strength here is because nothing on her relies on power strength. You know? People laugh when they see that... Well, okay, it's not true. She has one thing that relies on power strength and truly relies on it, and that is Mind Freak. It's about the only time she really warrants a build that has any power strength. But for anything else, for all purposes, this is the way to go. This doesn't descale anything with your mind control naturally. It doesn't descale the damage, or it doesn't, okay, it takes down the amount of damage you can absorb, but it doesn't stop you from being completely damn invincible, okay? And that's a pretty good thing. And it also benefits, it benefits Absorb, because with the radius, you know, you're increasing the explosion range, so that's still knockdown CC. It's going to increase the radius so that your allies could also hide behind you or hide inside the bubble with you. It's not going to negatively impact the fact that you are completely invincible. And of course, Chaos is going to become this level-dominating, godlike power, okay? I mean, we're talking the controller from Marvel, you know, or the leader, sorry. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and head out and take a look at this build in action and compare it to the last ones. Okay, I had 180 energy. Well, look, everybody's staggered, and pretty much everybody's fighting one another, except for a couple that were really close to me. And they're leaving me alone. For the most part. But it's just not even close to the, it's not even close to what the problems I was facing before, because Chaos is just there, and it's powerful, and I don't really know what else to say. They aren't coming at me because it's a guaranteed... oh, yeah, sorry, that's the difference, too, is it's not just a confusion proc. They see you, or I'm sorry, they see everybody affected as a Tenno. So it's basically a faction difference. It's as reliable that they will attack one another as it is that the Grineer will attack Corpus and vice versa. You know, it's it changes their faction essentially. Or at least that's how they perceive it. So, what can we do about pacifying bolts then? It's basically Chaos Light, only Chaos is actually useful. It's useful on a wide scale. It may not do any damage, but the amount of damage dealt to the enemies by themselves is going to more than make up for the lack of damage. Okay? So, really, what can we do? Well, I'd say the answer is we nix the power. We get rid of it and give her something that's, you know, going to fit within the context of her powers. Now, normally, I'm against comparing powers. Normally, I think that that's how we fail, is we've taken two powers and we've compared it to one another when it doesn't necessarily fit the context of the comparison. But that's usually when we're comparing two different frames. Now, frames like Oberon, they get a bad rap because people compare his powers. And it's kind of a shitty thing to do, because his powers, they're pretty good, but everybody's like, oh, well, somebody does something better than him. Somebody does something better than everybody, okay? So Oberon isn't alone in that. I mean, I could pick apart Loki and say all of his powers are done better by somebody else. So, like with invisibility, I could say Ashes is better because Ashes has a stagger at the beginning, and that stagger makes it more difficult for them to actually attack him in any legitimate capacity. Or I could say Ivara is more powerful because hers is completely permanent. I could say, oh, Loki's decoy sucks, you know, Molt is better. Or I could say Loki's decoy sucks because Hall of Mirrors is better. You know, it's just ridiculous the way people do that. Switch teleport. Oh man, you mean it doesn't actually teleport? You gotta have somebody to switch with? Doesn't even open them up for a finisher? Well, that's ridiculous. I guess that just means that somebody does everything better than him. Radial disarm. Okay, so nobody else can really do that, but I guess Nyx kind of can, only Nyx's crowd control is a lot better and doesn't require an augment to do so. That's the whole reason why I hate that argument. You could literally do that with any frame. You could pick apart all of their powers by saying how other people do it better. Doesn't matter if you're the Master Race frame or you're the most hated frame. Even Hydroid has his merits. Hydroid's powers may be worse off than some powers, but within the context of his character and the chief end of what they're capable of doing, that's what you gotta understand, is what is their purpose. Anytime you try and make a frame fulfill the role of a different frame, you've failed. But this is different with Nyx, because it's the same frame. It's two powers on the same frame. Sorry, yeah, it took a while for me to get to the actual point. My bad. So, with Nyx, two powers within her kit do the same thing. One, doing it a lot less and has nothing that redeems the difference. I mean, the energy difference isn't enough that it's actually, you know, noteworthy. The damage isn't significant enough to warrant using it over the other. So what do? What can we really do? And again, the answer is we nix the power. We get rid of it and replace it with something better. That's my 2 cents. So the last thing I wanted to discuss with Nyx and Chaos, or Psychic Bolts if you really want to go that route, is synergy. Okay? So the main downside to using Chaos is if somebody's too close. And the answer to that is Jin, as you see. Jin will start to it basically turns off enemies that get too close. It makes them become docile, they stop attacking, they just kind of walk towards you because of Fatal Attraction. And so that is basically her one blind spot. If you're too close to an enemy and they happen to attack or get ready to attack you or try and move in on you, Jin has you covered. So it's just a good way to synergize with that power. Well, that's pretty much it. Just wanted to discuss some Warframe theory with you guys. If you liked what you saw, go ahead and like the video. It'll definitely help. If you happen to really have enjoyed the material that I shared with you, by all means, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. But without further ado, you have a great day. This is Finn with Warframe Unabridged.